Hey guys, I'm Kaylin, and today I am joined by Kipuka, my Linny, and Footsie, my Parrotlet. We're going to do 2 videos for you today, but first I am the author of the Parrot Bliss Bond and several other books on parrots. Make sure to check them out under KB Raphael on Amazon. And now let's talk about our 2 videos. Statistically, it sounds like most parrots that come home do live, but there is a significant percentage that do not. And that's because the stress of a new home, the new microbiome, and then just accidents that can happen seem to take their toll. I think it is estimated that like 20 or 30% of new parrots don't survive their first week. Now, is that accurate or not? I'm not exactly sure, but there's no doubt that that first week does have more risk to it than the subsequent months and even years. So what we're talking about today in both videos is 3 things that you want to do when you bring your parrotlet home to try to ensure that they make it past the first week, the first month, and have a nice, wonderful, blissful bond and blissful life with you. And then the next video that I want you to look for is 3 things to avoid when you bring your new parrotlet home. And they're things that are going to apply for a Linny as well. So in this video, the 3 things that you want to know about your parrotlet. Number 1, parrotlets and small birds in general. So this is also going to apply to a budgie, to a Linny, to a lovebird. They don't do well with stress at all. Things that a bigger bird is going to handle better, stressors, like for example, just of their environment changing and they're having a new home. The stress alone can just kill them. Like when it comes to small birds, they can literally die from the stress of a metaphorical heart attack. In other words, when things are enough of a scare them, that can kill them. Now, the reason for this, I believe, and what I've observed is that when you have a new baby bird, they are still getting used to things, right? They have probably just finished weaning, and so they've just barely learned how to eat on their own. And mind you, in the wild, their parents, they wouldn't just sort of wean them and that's it, never feed them again. They wean them, but they'll still feed them every now and then, that kind of thing. So they still keep their family, their flock, and they still keep that sense of security that someone's taking care of them. That means that when they go to a new home, everything changes, which has to be really hard on them. On top of that, now there's no falling back. There's no regressing on the weaning, which can happen. And they're on their own, It's like they're just sort of thrown out into the big bad world kind of thing. A little dramatic, yes, but it makes the point that for a brand new baby parrot, it is quite an adjustment. So parrotlets are amazing little birds, but that doesn't mean that they aren't going to be sensitive to some of these things. When you first bring your parrotlet home, don't let them out and keep them out and really inadvertently overwhelm them by being so excited and being so on them and that kind of thing. It's actually important that you give them time to adjust. They are still babies, and baby parrots, just like human babies, they sleep a lot. So your baby parrotlet probably isn't sleeping a ton more than when it was much younger, but it doesn't mean that they don't need that sort of slow, quiet start in life. So I would recommend taking them out and spending some time with them, but just not a ton. Day 1, let them adjust. Definitely spend some time with them, but let them adjust. Let them adjust to their cage. Let them find their food. Let them relax. Let them find comfort, safety, and security in their new cage, their new home. Number 2, to help ensure their success, make sure that they're eating. They're small. Like I said, everything changed. It's possible that the breeder or the store that they had been in had one kind of diet. One of the best things to do is make sure that you are following the diet that they previously had, because that way what they were weaned onto, you can continue to give them so that they have one thing that's familiar. I know this sounds a little weird, but so that they know how to eat what you're giving them. That way, like I said, you can ensure that they're eating. Believe it or not, I have heard horror stories about new baby parrots, and I don't mean just little ones, coming home and starving because they're put in a big cage and they can't find their food, or maybe they just can't access it. So make sure that your baby parrotlet is, in fact, not so stressed that they aren't eating. If they aren't eating, it's going to be important to either try to figure out how to safely hand feed them or contact the store or the breeder you got them from. You might need to take them back. Maybe they weren't quite ready. Sometimes they just need a little more time. Whatever it is, you need to do something to ensure that they do start to eat again so that they can be chirpy for you. When they first come home, the first few days, even the first week, I wouldn't put my baby parrotlet in a big, beautiful flight cage. Eventually, absolutely. Eventually, when they know the routine, they know their home, they're established, they're eating great, you want them flying around. You want them to have the biggest cage you can while being really careful of the bar spacing. Because if they can get their head or their body through the bars, but not all the way through, they're going to get stuck and injure themselves. And of course, if they can get all the way through, they could get lost. So you kind of really want to watch a baby parrotlet's cage. And the truth is, that's true for any baby parrot, but specifically for a baby parrotlet, don't start them with the biggest cage you can find. Actually, especially the first 3 days to the first week, I would put my baby maybe even in the carrier that they came home in. I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but this way they have a nice cozy spot and it's going to let them adjust. It's going to give them a sense of comfort. It's going to make their food very accessible. Think of adopting a human baby. If you were adopting a human baby, even if they were starting to eat on their own, if they were like a year and a half, something like that, you wouldn't give them a house, you would give them a nursery. A nursery is a room that is for babies. It is baby proofed. It's smaller and it has things that are their size and within where they're at. And so for a baby parrotlet, that's just a smaller cage. Again, don't forget, it's not because we want them to be in a small cage forever. It's because initially we want them to have a nursery. Initially, we want a small cage, like a carrier, that we can easily cover with something like a towel so that it's dark and they can be calm, quiet, and de-stressed at night and really sleep well. We want it to be a small space so that it's easy to make sure that it's not in any ventilated area. It's not in any super loud area. It's nowhere where the dog or the cat can come and bark at them or sniff at them, anything like that. It's just this nice, calm, quiet space that's going to allow them to feel totally calm, comfortable, secure, to be at the right temperature, which is usually about room temperature, and, not be in a draft like I had said, and feel really safe and really comfortable. When they're a little older, if you put them in a larger cage with no special place to sleep, they're going to be able to handle it. I wouldn't recommend it. For all of my birds, I try to create a space where they can go and comfortably kind of hide, like the way you get under your blankets in your bedroom. You may or may not leave your bedroom door open, but you get under your blankets, you get warm, you get cozy, you feel safe. So I like to provide the same for my parrots because in the wild they do the same thing. They go into a tree, and even though they don't have a home, they might move around some. They go into a tree and they really disappear in trees, but they go and they might hide in several branches, several leaves. They just disappear. They find a place where they become invisible so that they can rest well. So making sure that your baby parrotlet has that is really important. So there you have 3 simple things. Now that third thing, I'm going to add one more little thing. Also, don't let them fly around too much. In other words, when you have a baby parrotlet that just comes home, they can fly. Small birds can really fly. Parrotlets are amazing because when they're babies, they don't learn to fly. One day they sort of spread their wings and they helicopter up. It's incredible and beautiful to see. They just fly. There's no learning curve. There's just black and white. They aren't flying. Spread their wings, they fly. And so actually when I'm feeding my baby parrotlets, I have to be really careful when I know that they're getting to that age, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to feed you, but don't fly. Don't fly into the window. Don't. So when they're babies, they are really good flyers. Make sure that you have your baby, when you spend time with them, in a space that isn't going to have like a big window that they're going to fly into and maybe crash into and injure themselves. Make sure that they don't have a space where they're going to fly into a fan or fly into something up high where you're not going to be able to get them down. One of my recommendations is go into the bathroom. Make sure you close the toilet seat. And make sure there's no open, you don't have water in the bathtub, no open water for them to fly into and possibly get into trouble with. But I recommend bathroom because it's a small space, and now they can fly around. If they bump into something, they won't have as much speed, so they're far less likely to injure themselves. But it gives them a space to be with you, to stretch their wings, to start to spend some time with you, but without too many potential dangers. So now you have my 3 things to hopefully really help you stay in the percentage of baby parrots and baby parrotlets that survive their first week, their first 2 weeks. And so that you hopefully have the most blissful bond. Because I can't think of anything worse than bringing a baby of any sort home and having something really tragic happen within the first week. So make sure you avoid that. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please be sure to post them down below. And then we will see you in the next video. Look for 3 things to avoid with a new parrotlet.